Hey everyone. So it looks like it's about time for us to get started. I think we're right around 10:40, which is our start time. We got 60 minutes that we can spend together. So excited to get to chat with you today about one of my favorite topics to get to present on. So this is a session called Learn Like a YouTuber, Engaging Video Activities. So I think we can look at YouTube and some of the other, video type social media that are out there, things like, like TikTok and Instagram and, some of the other ones that are using video a lot, even Twitch. Um, we can look at some of those and realize that those are something that are a big part of many of our students' lives, and they check things out there an awful lot, and it's definitely something that's got their interest and their attention. And so if we can if we can find some ways to make learning feel a little bit more like some of those things that they like to spend their time on, it can be pretty engaging, it can be pretty fun, and it can actually promote some deeper learning. And so that's what we're going to talk about in this session called Learn Like a YouTuber, engaging video activities. So hoping that you're gonna really enjoy this. Here is a link to my slides. If you'd like to hang on to that, you can grab that link at ditch.link/YouTuber. So ditch.link/YouTuber. Those slides aren't going anywhere, so I'm not going to take them offline or anything like that. So feel free to hang on to that link, to open that link up at any point. If it's helpful, if you want to share it with somebody, you certainly can too. Now, this whole session is basically like a chapter out of my book, Tech Like a Pirate. Now, I don't know if any of you are familiar with the book Teach Like a Pirate by Dave Burgess. It's a super fun book. One of the, first one of the first education books that I really got excited about. In Dave Burgess's book Teach Like a Pirate, one of the big lines that has always stuck with me is don't just teach a lesson, create an experience. It's like, how can you make learning memorable, enjoyable, like something that students look forward to, something that's fun, that ties fun into the learning. And so in Teach Like a Pirate, he wrote about that. And I got to write the sort of techie follow-up book to that called Tech Like a Pirate. So it's like saying, don't just teach a lesson, create an experience. And it asks the question, okay, how do you do that with technology? And so in that book, I've got all of these different chapters that bounce around to different things related to all of that. And when it comes to all of that, those sort of like techie fun ways to learn, one of the whole chapters is about using video. And so that's really what this entire session is going to be all about. I just realized that I haven't shared my screen with you yet, but now I have. So anyway, sorry, there's that link right there. It's at ditch.link/YouTuber. And then if you go to the other link that's on there, which is techlikeapirate.com, if you go there, it's got tons and tons of resources related to that same idea. Like, how do you make learning memorable? How do you make it fun? How do you make it an experience? And how can technology help you to do that? So there's a whole bunch of little resources right out of my book, and even things that aren't even included in my book that you can find on that site at techlikeapirate.com. It's kind of like the companion website to the book, but I make it available to everybody. Okay. So if we were all in the same place together, I'd be curious to hear this one from you, which is what do you watch on YouTube? Like what are some of the YouTube channels that you like to watch? Who are some of your favorite YouTubers? Are there any, particular types of videos that you like to watch? This is what I would be asking you. And so, whenever I ask this, it's funny because a lot of times, with teachers, the first thing that we say is, we start to suggest things that we like to show our students, things that we like to show in the classroom. And I'm like, actually, I'm looking for, what do you like to watch? Because I don't know about you, but I feel like whenever we find out what somebody likes to watch on YouTube, it's almost like this social experiment that shows us, our own personal brand of weird. Like what are we really like, deep down inside. And, so, I hear people talk about how, there's all sorts of different things they like to watch. Like whether it's their own, their own hobbies. They like to watch how-to videos on how to like fix your washing machine or how to fix your mower or something like that. There's one in particular that people seem to bring up a lot, and it's there's this one. It seems like every other time I do this presentation, somebody mentions this, that there's this YouTube channel with this woman who puts on her makeup and talks about true crime. I can't remember what it's called. Some of you have probably seen it before. But I remember the first time I heard about that one, I was like, is that really a thing? Like people actually watch her put on her makeup and talk about true crime, but apparently so. So anyway, there's all sorts of stuff. I know, sometimes whenever we're like, whenever I'm with my wife and we're both kind of like on our phones and everything, sometimes I'll hear the videos that are going like crack, crack, crack. And I'll turn to my wife and I'll be like, you're watching those chiropractic videos again, aren't you? Where they like pop people's backs and stuff. So anyway, yeah, it would be, it's always I'm always curious to hear what everybody likes to watch, but I think it starts to highlight that YouTube really is sort of a microcosm of what's popular out there. The videos that trend, the videos that go viral sort of show us what we're curious about and what we're interested in. And so it started to encourage me to think, to ask, what can we learn from YouTube to make our video activities more engaging? Or even if we're not talking about video activities, like what can we learn from YouTube to make learning more engaging? Because if you think about it, there are all of these really good, really successful creators out there on YouTube and TikTok and Instagram and all of these other video platforms and all sorts of social media. And they're creating all of this content that's super interesting that have our students' eyeballs a lot of times. And I think, well, if those examples are out there, is there anything that we can learn from them? Can we kind of like repurpose some of that stuff? You ever ask yourself that question? If the students are interested in it, if the students are watching it, if the students are talking about it, can I use that in class somehow? You ever asked yourself that question before? I have too. And at some point I started to think that that probably makes students think this is how adults ruin everything, right? They want to take the things that are cool that we're paying attention to, and they want to turn it into learning. They want to turn it into like something in the classroom. And, but I think that there's definitely something to that, right? So before we get too much into the into how we use this in learning, I wanted to talk about tools for a second. If we want to have students record video, or if we want to have students make video, there are tons of things that we can use to be able to do that. Now, I will say that if you are, all right, let's make sure that we got our microphones muted, if we would, please. Here we go. We're back to those days. Back to those days of the of the remote learning. Okay. Anyway, hopefully somebody can help me out with that. I just learned that I do not have the features to be able to fix that.
Just secure it.
All right. Anyway, I'm just going to pretend like I don't hear it for now because there's nothing I can do about it, I don't think. I'm looking. All right. Anyway, video tools, like I was saying. I think there are definitely some ways that we can look at some of these things that are popular in the spaces that our students love, like YouTube and TikTok and Instagram and all of those, and not have them record video in the classroom to demonstrate learning. But there are definitely some ways that we can. And if we've got some of those good video tools, then that can kind of equip us to do that. Now, sadly, one of my absolute favorite tools for creating video doesn't exist in the same way that it did before, and that was Microsoft Flip. Microsoft Flip, or formerly Flipgrid. I don't know if any of you were like big supporters of, people who appreciated using Microsoft Flip in the classroom like I did. But it was such a great platform for students to be able to create video and then share it with their classmates and then be able to comment on and interact in each other's stuff. And their ability to edit the videos kind of the same way that a YouTuber or a TikToker might was really, really great. Now, Microsoft Flip, there's a version of the Microsoft Flip camera that is going to continue on inside of Microsoft Teams. So if you're using Microsoft Teams to manage your class, if there isn't already, there should eventually be a way to give students assignments where they continue to use that Microsoft Flip camera. But if that's not something that you're doing, then some of these other tools on here can be good ways to capture video. Like for instance, Screencastify and Loom. Those are really good screen recording tools that will let you record your webcam or do kind of like a screencast of your screen or both. And another one is this one right here in the middle, ScreenPal. ScreenPal used to be called Screencast-O-Matic. I don't know if you ever used Screencast-O-Matic. It was one that I used in the past. But one thing that I really like about ScreenPal is that it does have it's got these really good free plans. And one of the things you can do inside the free plan is have students install the Chrome extension, the ScreenPal Chrome extension. And with the ScreenPal Chrome extension, you can basically like turn on your camera real quick and record a quick video and then be able to share it. So being able to do that, that's a quick and easy way. Another thing is, within your own learning management system, a lot of times you have the ability to record video. Have students record video and then submit it as part of their assignment. So I know like inside of Canvas and Schoology, it's that way. I think when inside of Teams, you can do that too. And then there's all of these other tools that you can use that have video capabilities. So I just wanted to share with you some of my favorite ones when it comes to recording video. And of course, feel free to go check any of these out if you want to. So now that we've talked about video tools a little bit, I think the bigger and maybe more important question is this. If we're going to have students record video to show what they've learned, how do we do it? What does it look like? Like, how can we make it better? How can we make it manageable? And so I wanted to start super, super basic. Because I think one really, really easy way for us to start incorporating more video into our classes is to have students record like webcam videos. So just a simple video where, they're looking directly at the camera, kind of like this, and it's recording them head and shoulders and they're talking about something. In fact, I know for lots and lots of classes, if they have students record videos, this is a common way for them to do it. But here's the problem. Sometimes they are less than inspiring, because what's going on. The student is recording a video of themselves answering a question that the teacher made them answer because they have to. And a lot of times they're submitting the video to an audience of one person, the teacher. And so then what do? They just get on there and they record it because they have to, and they do it as fast as possible, and they're not really thinking about it. But I think there's some ways that we can improve these webcam videos. So if you want students to talk about their learning and do it in a little bit more creative way, here's a question you can ask yourself. What's the lens we want to see this activity through? Here's kind of what I mean by that. It's like saying, if you could record the video as if you were someone else, or as if you were someplace else, or even as if you were in a different place and time, in a different time period, what would that look like? So let me give you a couple of examples to sort of get you thinking. Instead of having students just record a head and shoulders video of themselves talking about their learning, what if they did it in these ways? Like, for instance, what if they did it as if they were a news anchor reporting on the daily news? So instead of just talking about, we just learned in history about George Washington crossing the Delaware. What would the news report look like of that? And so you've got them like sitting at the news desk and summarizing it as if it had just happened, which is actually kind of a fun activity in that it's a different perspective. Instead of just me being a student talking about this thing I learned about, now I'm playing the part of a news anchor. And so they could have some fun with this. And I will say this is a lot of fun for younger students, but with older students, sometimes it's a hit too. because you know as well as I do, maybe if you've worked with an older student, I taught high school Spanish for more than 10 years. High school kids are like little kids in big bodies sometimes. You know what I mean? It's like sometimes it works out that way. So anyway, the news anchor one is a lot of fun. Even the one below it, which is kind of a version of it, the on the scenes TV reporter, instead of sitting in the studio, you could have them, take their device, if it's a smartphone or a Chromebook or a laptop or whatever, with the webcam and go someplace and pretend like they're on the scenes reporting from there. How about this one in the top right? Horror movie. Do any of you remember the Blair Witch Project? Do you remember this movie from years and years and years ago? It was like a horror movie that was, it was kind of like on, it was supposedly real, like shot on a wobbly camcorder. And it kind of like followed people through the movie as if it was just, shot on somebody's own video recording. But it sort of paved the way for other, for other movies and TV shows about, or sort of like it, kind of like those mockumentary style shows, like The Office or Parks and Rec, if you've ever watched any of those. And so even having students record it like that, I think could be a lot of fun too. So anyway, that's another one, is to do sort of a mockumentary style thing. And then there's even reality game shows too. Like if you've ever seen Cash Cab, if you've ever seen Cash Cab before, it's a reality game show where somebody's in New York City and they get into a taxi cab, but they don't realize that they've just stepped onto the set of a game show. And the driver is the host, and he asks them a bunch of questions. And if they get enough questions right, by the time they get to their destination, they get some cash. But if they get their answers wrong, then they get kicked out on the curb and they got to go find another cab. So, even little things like this get students talking about the content in your class, but in kind of fun ways. So those are some examples. I always love getting the opportunity to ask you guys what yours are. If you have access, I was talking about this earlier, if you have access to the chat and want to throw some things in that are other ways that you could record videos like this, as if you were somebody else or someplace else, feel free to do that. I'm having trouble with my chat. It says we're having trouble loading messages. Please refresh. And then I refresh and it doesn't work. So I can't see the chat if you can. But anyway, just thought I'd throw that out there. Here are some things that that people in the past have shared with me that are fun when it comes to, recording as if you're somebody else or as if you're someplace else. So imagine your students talking about whatever it is that you're learning as if it's a Shark Tank proposal or a reality show or a superhero or an infomercial. I think that one's super fun. I always think those like over the top like infomercials, and the tackier the better. Like the more corny and out there the better. Those could be super fun. So anyway, those are some other ways that students could record those videos as if they're somebody, or as if they're another place or something. So this is kind of our essential question, our big question. How do we use these video tools? Well, one thing we can do is we can let popular genres of videos on YouTube be our guides. And here's what I mean by that. Popular genres of videos. Have you ever noticed that there are certain types of videos that you see over and over and over again on YouTube? Like, for instance, there's lots of cat videos and animal videos and stuff. There are pranks. There are product reviews. There's, all of these different types. Now, there's one particular type of video that you see on a regular basis on YouTube that I think is like very fertile ground for us to create activities in the classroom with it. And it's this, the unboxing video. Have you ever seen an unboxing video on YouTube before? So if you're familiar, oh, and by the way, there's a link down here. If you want to learn more about doing an unboxing video type activity with whatever it is that your students are learning, go check this out. ditchthattextbook.com/unboxing. It's my whole great big guide on using the unboxing video concept as a learning activity in the classroom. It's super fun. But anyway, with the unboxing video, if you've never seen one before, here's how it works. So the unboxing video is when a YouTuber gets something in the mail you know, some sort of product sent to them usually. And then they turn on their camera and they start recording themselves, opening the box and showing the person that's watching it all of the things inside of it. You get to see their reactions and everything like that. And so I don't know about you, but I think when it comes to these types of videos, there would be lots of ways for students to talk about the things that they're learning in our classrooms through the lens of an unboxing video. And so for you to get a good picture of what I'm talking about, I'm going to stop sharing my screen here for just a second and come right back over here on the video. And so I'm going to see, yeah, let's do a spotlight for everyone so you guys can see my, hopefully you're seeing my video here. So here's what I want to do for you real fast. I want to do an unboxing video for you, just so you get kind of a picture of what it's all about. So I cooked up something, and I actually have with me a box. And so I'm going to pretend like I got this box in the mail, and I'm going to pretend like I'm a YouTuber recording this for you. So what I'd like for you to do is, as I'm doing this, just kind of like put your teacher hat on and think, could I have students record an unboxing video? Could I have students record an unboxing video where they talk about whatever it is that we're learning in class? And if so, what would it look like? Like, what are some different ways that this could be applied to learning in my classroom? So anyway, here we go. I'm going to pretend like I'm recording this. You ready for this? We're going to start in 3, 2, 1. Oh my goodness, you're never going to believe this. I just got this box in the mail, and it's a box to me, from the 80s. This is so fascinating. I don't know how I got my address, like on the mailing label right here. It has my current address, but I am super curious to see what in the world I sent myself from the 80s. So let's open this thing up and see what's inside of it. Oh my goodness, there is some incredible stuff inside of this box. But the first thing that I notice is that there's a letter that I seem to have written to myself from the past. So this letter, this would be a good way for, me to provide context for the box without actually including things in the box. So let's open this up and take a look at it. It says, "Dear Matt, here's a box to you from the past, so that you can remember where you came from and remember your roots as you go forward in your life." Okay. All right. Nice. So let's see what's inside of this box. Let's take a look. Oh my goodness. There's some good stuff in here. Do you remember the days where we used to not save files to the cloud, but instead we saved them to these? Do you remember this? The floppy disks, right? And if you had a great big file, you had to span it across multiple of these disks. And here's a lesson I learned the hard way. Don't open this up and touch the media inside. That'll get you in big trouble with your teacher. Let's see what else is inside this box. Do you remember when we used to not listen to music on our phones? We used to listen to music on these instead. Do you remember this? With the antenna? I don't know about you, but I used to live like sort of out in the country, but I like to listen to the big city radio stations. And so if I was going to be able to do that, I had to do battle with this thing, the tuning knob. You had to tune this thing down to like the 0.5 millimeter to get it just exactly right. It's like kids these days, they'll never know, What else is there? Oh, do you remember when we used to not use our phones to take pictures? We took pictures on these things instead. Yeah, for those of you that are not old enough, let me just tell you this is a camera. This is a film camera, right? And so you would shoot pictures on this stuff called film that was on the inside of this. But here's the kicker. You couldn't see what the picture looked like until you got the film developed, which you were very fortunate if you got to go to this magical place called the 1 Hour Film Developing Studio, because you could get your pictures back in just an hour. But not all of us were able to do that because that wasn't cheap. Do you remember when our smartphones were not so smart? And there's another antenna. And then we've got the keypad, right? Do you remember when the cell phones used to have these keypads? I don't know if you do or not, but trying to text on these things was not easy. Like you would have to hit the 9 key 4 times to get a Z into your text message. It was a pain. I remember some people who were really good at texting with these things, their thumbs are just like flying. Like how in the world? There was one time I was talking to somebody and he was just sitting there texting while he's listening to me talk. And I'm like, are you even paying attention to me? And he goes, mm-hmm. And I think he was. So anyway, that is the end of my box. And so, dear YouTubers, I do have a question for you. In the comments below, would you let me know if you were packing a box from the 80s, what would you include in that box that I didn't include in my video? And as always, like, comment, and subscribe. And that's the end of the video. So if I was recording that YouTube video of the unboxing video from start to finish, that's kind of what it would look like. So hopefully some of you have seen a video sort of like that. And so one of my favorite things to ask is when it comes to this type of video, I'll go ahead and put my slides back up here. When it comes to this type of video, could you imagine using this as a learning activity in some way, shape, or form? Like, is there a way that you could have students do an unboxing activity to show what they've learned? I think there's just a ton of ways that this could potentially be used. So when it comes to that, let me see real fast. I wanted to see, I'm going to go real fast to that link that I gave you, ditchthattextbook.com/unboxing. So if you kind of like this as a learning activity, what I wanted to show you here is that I do have some example unboxing videos that you can use. And then I've got a whole planning guide on creating one of these with a whole bunch of questions that you can ask students. And so then it kind of walks you through all of those. And then this is the thing that I wanted to show you. In fact, I'm going to open this in a new tab so it makes it a little bit bigger. There it is right there. These are a whole bunch of different types of unboxing videos that you could create. So I made this little infographic with a whole bunch of just examples that you could try out. So maybe you're already thinking of some ways that this could be applied to your content. Like, and really all students are doing here is they're just talking about whatever it is that they've learned, recalling it and thinking about it in new ways, but doing so as through the lens of an unboxing video. So for instance, what if we did the book unboxing box? So for instance, you've just gotten a new book and you want to talk about it, or maybe a better version of that is the the box about a book. So for instance, you get a box, you pretend like you get a box in the mail, and when you open it up, it's a box from a character in a book that you've just read about. And so that character is sending you some things based on lessons that they learned through the story. And see, that gives you an opportunity as a student to talk about the book and the things that you've learned about it. Or it could be in the opposite direction, and the student could create a box of things that they wish that they could send to the character in the book to help them out through the struggles that they're going through. You could also do this with history too, the time capsule box. This is one where the student pretends like they've got a box that came from, it's kind of like the one that I just made up that was a box from the 80s, which by the way, whenever I get to do this workshop face-to-face is so much fun because I always ask people, what are some things that you remember from the 80s that you could put, it's kind of like the question I asked at the end of the video, right? What are some things, other things that you could put in a box from the 80s? And so they come up with all sorts of stuff. So maybe you're already thinking of some things. And I hear like some pretty common things like leg warmers, jelly shoes. There's always the Aquanet hairspray. Anybody remember Aquanet hairspray? A Walkman tape deck, garbage pail kids, Cabbage Patch dolls, Trapper Keepers, like all sorts of things. It's always fun to get to nerd out a little bit about the 80s stuff. And then, of course, I have to remind myself that there are some people in the audience that have no idea what we're all talking about when we talk about the 80s. You know why that is, right? It's because they weren't born yet, because they didn't live through that time. And so I'm like, okay, if you weren't born yet, this is just like a little history lesson for you. So anyway, a couple of other ways that you can use this unboxing idea to have students talking about things that they've learned. Like for instance, you've got the end of the year reflection box. This could be students creating a box of things that represent things that they've learned, or it could even be like artifacts of learning. We had the box from the past and the box from the future. We talked about that a little bit where, you know, if we were receiving a box from the past or even a box from the future, we wanted to send something to the future and tell them things that, that we want them to remember from what we did. The historical or book character box is a really good one too. That one's fun. That is like, you know, a whole bunch of like characters out of the book. You pick a character, and like we were saying earlier, it's something that you could send things to them or receive things from them. So anyway, you could go on and on and on and on and on. There's all sorts of different things. The biome box in the bottom right hand corner there, that one could be fun, where you have students pick out things that are from a different biome, stick them in a box, and pretend like they received a box from that biome of, like, you know, things that are from that. So anyway, I don't want to go on and on and on too much when it comes to this, but I think that this one it's kind of a good example of how you can take, and even if you don't do the unboxing box, or the unboxing video, it's an example of how you can take a trend on YouTube or TikTok or whatever and turn it into a learning activity. So you could really follow some of the same ideas of what I was talking about when it comes to the unboxing video and apply it for lots of other things too. And then when it comes to planning one of these, there's all sorts of questions you can have students ask to make sure that the focus stays on the learning, right? And this could go for, again, like I was saying, even if this isn't an unboxing video, if this is any other sort of type of video, this could definitely work. So like, you could ask students, who's watching the video? Who's the audience? If they want to be YouTubers, and let's be honest, there's a bunch of them that are pretty convinced that they're going to be YouTube influencers or TikTok stars in the future. You all know some students like that who are pretty confident of that. So if that's the case, let's make the most of that, right? And say, hey, your favorite YouTube stars or TikTok stars have to wrestle with this question too. Who is my audience? Who's watching the video? If it's the unboxing video, let's talk about who the recipient is, who's receiving the box, and the sender, who's sending the box, and why are they doing it? You know, the setting, where is the recipient opening the box? Like at what time and in what place? How about the box itself? What does the box look like? Do you remember I pointed out the mailing label on it? They could even like write things on the outside of it that's like a stamp as it's going through the mail system. Or there could even be like water stains on it, or like other kinds of stains on it, or who knows? You know, there could be like a hole in it because it was, you know, somebody shot a bullet through it. I don't know. There's all sorts of different things you could do with the boxes. And then the contents inside, of course. What items are inside the box? Is there a note in the box? I always love doing the note because it lets them add details that they've remembered that aren't connected to a specific thing inside of the box. And then this is the key question. How does this show what I've learned? Because it's really easy for students to record videos on stuff like this and make something fun or make it entertaining or whatever, but it doesn't show anything. It's not really an artifact of learning. So I'm constantly redirecting students back to this question. You got to answer, how does this show what I've learned? How does this show what I've learned? And then here's the other thing too, is with any of these trends, and again, remember, I'm kind of doing a deep dive on the unboxing video just to show you how you can tease out any one of these sort of like trends online to make them into a learning activity. You don't even have to record a video, because sometimes recording a video can be kind of time consuming, right? You got to shoot the video, you got to edit the video, you got to make sure that it's all ready to go, you got to turn it in and everything. What if you just want to think about how you would do a video like that? And so this right here, this is just a quick little graphic organizer that you can use that's related to the unboxing video. So for instance, and this one, by the way, there's a link to it right there. If you want to make a copy of my my unboxing graphic organizer, you can just go to ditch.link/boxorg, just like that. So ditch.link/boxorg. And if you go there, ditch.link/boxorg, it's going to prompt you to make a copy of this unboxing video graphic organizer. So again, if you want to pull a little bit of like YouTube, TikTok, Instagram style feel into an activity, this is a really easy way to do it. See, I always like to do this one, like whenever I do teacher workshops, I'll have the teachers put their name up at the top. And then all this graphic organizer is it's 4 boxes where you can put pictures. And then it's got little text boxes next to it saying why that item goes in there. So a lot of times I encourage them to do an all about me unboxing video, which by the way could be a really fun thing to do at the beginning of the year, is to have students be kind of like YouTubers and do an unboxing video, but it's all things about them. So then that way they're telling the class kind of like what, telling them things that they need to know about themselves. So for instance, if I was going to do one of those, all I'd have to do is just go to insert image, search the web. I'm just going to do kind of like a Google Images search. And for me, for instance, like one thing that I like to do is I like to play disc golf. My son and I started playing disc golf during the pandemic, and it's kind of stuck. I actually have like disc golf holes out in the woods next to my house and everything. And so what I could do is I could put a picture of that. And then, of course, you've got to say why that. So I could pretend like there's a disc golf disc in my box, and I could say I love playing disc golf with my son Joel. We like to visit new courses and play. It's a way for us to get exercise and spend time together. And so you see, I could continue on with more pictures and more descriptions and everything. And of course, this particular one right here is just an example of the, the like all about me box. But you could do this with any sort of thing. Like, you could do this with a character. We talked about the character in a book box. So you could say, what are 4 things that you would send that character that would help them out in their journey throughout the book? And so the students would just throw 4 pictures on there, and then they would describe why they would send each of those things. So if you want to frame something in terms of an unboxing video, it doesn't even have to be a video. It could even be a small group discussion or whatever. So anyway, to wrap this particular part up, when it comes to the unboxing video, there's a whole planning guide. I showed you a little bit of that at ditchthattextbook.com/unboxing that you can go to.
Matt, real quick, sorry. I'm the moderator. Somebody's asking if you could give the link one more time for the graphic organizer.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Thanks. Appreciate that. I'm glad that you've got your eyes on the chat, because for some reason mine isn't working. There's that link one more time. Thank you for stopping me and doing that. Ditch.link/boxorg. Cool. And feel free to pop in, Jose, anytime with like any other stuff out of the chat. Okay. Thank you for doing that.
Yes.
All right, cool. Thanks. All right, great. So there's that one more time if you want to use it. This is just a quick little reminder that if you were watching the keynote speech earlier, I mentioned that there was that link that was getmattstuff.com, and it was a way to get my free AI teacher toolkit and some other like ebooks full of practical teaching ideas and everything. But it's also a way for you to join my email newsletter. If you like the stuff that you've been seeing in my presentations and you'd like a little steady like drip of a couple of little ideas you can use throughout the week, the email newsletter is where I share all of my new ideas first. And so you can go to this link on the screen, ditch.link/join, to join my email newsletter if you want to. You can use that same link that we had earlier, getmattstuff.com. It's just a different link to the same place it's just a fun little joke that I can throw on the screen during a keynote speech to make people laugh. So anyway, that's just a little encouragement that if you like the stuff that you're seeing in my presentations and you'd like a little bit of it kind of throughout the week to give you ideas and encourage you and everything, then that's a place that you can join that. So, okay, so I spent a long time on the unboxing video, and there's a reason that I did that. I wanted to show you a deep dive into like one particular type of YouTube video and say, if this is kind of like a trend, if this is a thing that students are seeing in these videos, here's how you can turn this one trend into a whole different, a whole bunch of different ideas of activities that you can do in your classroom. So since you've seen the one deep dive when it comes to that, let's talk about some other types of videos. And then now that you've seen the deep dive, maybe you can see sort of like some connections on how you can use some of these in your own class. So here's another type of YouTube video or a type of, like TikTok or Instagram video that you might have seen before, is the top 10 video. The first time that I really started sharing about this, it was I was all about making this video on Flipgrid or on Microsoft Flip. Of course, I mentioned earlier, sadly, Microsoft Flip doesn't exist anymore. But you got all those other tools that you can use to make something like this. But maybe you've seen a like a top 10 video or a top 5 video or something like top 10 bucket list destinations to visit in Europe. Top 10 best places to get pizza in New York. Top 10 gross ice cream flavors. Like I've seen that top 10 gross ice cream videos or ice cream flavors video before. There's some gross stuff in it. Like I'm pretty sure there was like a seafood ice cream that just, I don't want to have anything to do with it. But anyway, you get the idea, right? And so what do you do with these top 10 videos? You come up with a criteria. You have a whole bunch of different things that make the list. The YouTuber usually ranks them, like 10 to 1, with 1 being the best, and then they give a little justification inside of it. I don't know about you, but I see all sorts of critical thinking all throughout that, right? Like all sorts of deep thinking. It's like all of the, justifications that you have to do and all of the judgment calls that you have to make and backing it up and everything. So I think when it comes to these top 10 videos, there's some potential here for having students, you could even just say like, lots of YouTubers make these top 10 videos. And so I want you to pretend like you're a YouTuber and plan out if you were going to make a video about the top 10 of this, or even the top 5 of this, or even the top 3 of this particular topic. I don't know about you, but I've tried this before, and making the top 10 of something, 10 is a lot. I mean, think about it. If you were reading a book and it was like the top 10 most important plot twists, or the top 10 most important characters, or the top 10 most important settings, like 10's a lot. But if you do 5, or even if you do the top 3, that's more manageable, I think. And so top 10 is great. I've actually sort of turned towards the top 3. I kind of like top 3 as really good. It's a manageable thing. It's something that students can do. And then when they compare against each other, there's more chance, if you only have top 3, there's more of a chance that they have different things, and then they can argue about it. I'm sorry, they can discuss it. They can compare and contrast, right? I think the top 3, top 5, top 10 activity is a great academic task because number 1, it encourages retrieval practice, which is where students recall things that they've learned out of their brains. And the more that they recall things out of their memory, the stronger it makes their long-term memory. They've got to curate, which means that they can't just throw all of the options in there, that they have to kind of like narrow it down to the best ones. They're creating something new with things that they've learned. And then they've even got to practice a little bit of brevity. Like they can't do 4 or 5 or 10 things. They're going to narrow it down to 3. And if you're going to make a good video, if you ever watch a video on a video platform like YouTube or TikTok or Instagram or whatever, you can't, the person who's creating it has to kind of get to the point, right? Or otherwise what happens on TikTok, it's like, on to the next video. So there's a little bit of that too. So when you're planning it out, actually here, let me go back real quick. I'm going to put this Oh no, I'm going the wrong way. There we go. This one isn't a little short link. Sorry, I need to do a better short link on this, but that link that I had there on the screen, that goes to my whole great big guide of how to use the YouTube style top 10 video as a learning activity. And it's kind of the same way that I did with the unboxing video. I did a deep dive on this one too. So I just wanted to leave that up there on the screen in case you wanted to jot down that link. It's just ditchthattextbook.com/top-10-videos. Again, I know it's a lot of characters to write down or to type in or whatever, but that's one that you can refer back to later if you want to. And if somebody wants to drop it in the chat, so that everybody else can have it, that'd be great. Somebody may already have, I don't know. But if you're planning one, these are some of the questions that I think students can ask themselves as they're planning this out. Like, what's the topic of the top 10 list? What's the subject of the list? Where should the top 10 things come from? Then, of course, you have to have a criteria. What criteria will the students use to select what makes the list and how to rank them? So, that's kind of like your way of justifying your list. Then, of course, there's the actual selections themselves. Pick the top 10. What makes the list? What doesn't? If you're going to be like a YouTuber, you got to have an introduction at the beginning that sets the context of the video. Why is this an important topic? What does the viewer need to know, but to fully appreciate the video? And then, in addition to that, as you go through the list, students can justify, the top 10, the top 5, the top 3. Why is this number 1? Why is this number 3? You can even do kind of like an honorable mentions, like the missing selections, what didn't make the list and why. And then if you want to make it really fun, you can ask students to do visuals, like are they going to have props, are they going to have images, and then even just like throwing in, how can they make this video special? How do they make it funny? How do they make it interesting? How do they make it visually stimulating? Those are all things that YouTubers and TikTokers have to think about too, right? So if you want to think about having students talk about your content through the lens of a YouTube style top 10 video, those are some of the things that they can plan. You remember my graphic organizer I showed you earlier for the unboxing video? I have one for a top 3 list also. So that's this link that you see on your screen right here, ditch.link/top3. Ditch.link/top3. So I want to show that one to you real quick. Ditch.link/top3. Trying to say it over and over and over again so you can get it. Ditch.link/top3. And it encourages you to make a copy right here. And so once you make a copy, all it is it's just this easy little graphic organizer that you've made a copy of. And so all you have to do is just say top 3, and then you can change this part. The student can change this part. So it could be like top 3 characters in our book. And so now they've changed that, and then they've got the top 1, top 2, top 3. So this would be the name of a character, and then they can write about why. This one is the top one because ... and then they can just describe. They can put name of character 2 here, and then they can describe why they were number 2. Character 3 goes here, and then why. And then notice I've left boxes over here. If you can come up with, if the students go to like search the web to find some images, they could always, like for instance, if we were doing Harry Potter characters, then Harry Potter would probably be number 1. So we find a picture of him, and there's one right there. See, I could even double click it to crop it, so it crops down on his head. There we go, and then we'll make it a little bigger, and we'll resize it. Boom, there's one right there. And let's say that the second one, insert image, search from the web. Let's say that it was Hermione, and so Hermione goes on there, and so we're trying to find, and again, these are just from like a Google image, so it may not have the best images. So that's like obviously not the one from, that looks like somebody who's doing a Halloween dress up or something. But if we want to use her, put that picture in there. and see how we can add little images to it too. And so now we've done kind of the work of a YouTuber coming up with a top 10 list or a top 5, or in this case, a top 3 list without actually having to record the video. And so you can do that with this. Graphic organizer. That's the word that I was looking for, which you can find right there at ditch.link/top3. Okay. If you want to go even deeper into this, I know we've got about, 10 minutes left here. So I've done a couple of deeper dives, but now we're going to do the quick hits. We talked about the unboxing video. We talked about the top 10 video. Again, this is another one of those great big long links. Sorry about that. One thing that might be easier to do is you can go just search for Ditch That Textbook YouTube inspired ideas or something like that. I don't know. That might not be any more or any less than this this big long link here. But this one is a blog post that we have on the Ditch That Textbook website that is one that we refer to an awful lot, that gives you some of those YouTube inspired ideas. Like if students want to kind of learn like a YouTuber, if they want to create something or think through the lens of the way that a YouTuber would, these are some ideas. And so they're all summarized right here. These are the 8 YouTube inspired ideas. And notice that we've done a couple of them. Like we've talked about the unboxing video, we've talked about the list video, and then you got a whole bunch of other ones. These are just types of videos that are commonly seen on YouTube that your students may have run across at some point. And so I just gathered a whole bunch of them that I think we can learn something from as far as ways that students can talk about our content in the way that YouTubers might. So I wanted to go over just a couple of them, real quick. So let's see. Here's one of them. Like for instance, product reviews. You've probably seen product reviews on YouTube before. There's a good chance that your students have too. So all you had to do is identify something to review. Like students could pretend like they are a YouTube product reviewer about an element on the periodic table, or a mathematical concept, or a historical innovation, or the plans of a literary character. Just pick something that you can review, that you can have an opinion about. Then the student shares pros and cons related to the reviewed item, and then they insert their opinion at the end and maybe conclude with an overall opinion about everything that they've shared. Product review, right? We're talking about the stuff that students have learned, but through the lens of a YouTube style product review. Here's another one, makeup tutorials. So you might not think of a makeup tutorial as kind of like the thing to look at when you're trying to So you might not think about a makeup tutorial as kind of like the thing to focus on when it comes to creating YouTube videos, but makeup videos really do makeup tutorials. I know this sounds sort of weird because obviously I use a lot of makeup, as you can tell. But when it comes to these, the makeup tutorials do a really good job of demonstrating a skill. They want to be able to show you how to do something in a way that the viewer can replicate it themselves, right? So you might ask yourself, what can students demonstrate in a tutorial video? Sometimes they do it through their camera. Sometimes they do it through a screencast where they're like demonstrating their screen. And these could work really well for a PE class, science labs, even coding and computer science. And so you want to just like describe things clearly and even show things on camera too. A couple of other ones real quick. On the street interviews, if you've ever watched the Jimmy Kimmel show, he's done these before. Like this one was really funny. This was where he took a blank map out on the streets and started asking adults, can you name a country on this map? And you would be shocked at how many adults were dumbfounded by it. They're like, I don't know. They couldn't even name where the United States was, or like Mexico or Canada or anything like that. But this is a type of video. You could even have students do like little impromptu questions of their classmates or their teachers or something. Or you could even do it. There's a whole other way that you could do this where you could pretend like you're back in time, back in history, and have your classmates kind of like play the part of different characters. And you could pretend like it's on the street interview, but the whole thing is completely scripted. That could be another fun way for students to be able to talk through the things that they've learned. Another one is the tour video. This is like a travel vlog. These are always fun whenever you do a field trip. If you could have students like, shoot video or take pictures and then pretend like they're doing a tour video afterwards. Or you could even have them pretend to be in a location by doing like green screen videos. Or there's even the idea of this, a virtual walking tour with Google Earth or Google Maps Street View. This one is kind of fun. All you'd have to do with that is, if you've ever used Google Earth before, you just pull up a location and then use like a screen recording tool to have your student record the screen with them using Google Earth or Google Maps Street View. And so it's basically like showing you what the world looks like down on the street. And so if they're recording with that screen recording tool, they're almost like a virtual tour guide. Anyway, this one can be a lot of fun. That's just a super quick explanation of it. But anyway, so those are some fun ideas that you can use. I wanted to give you two quick things at the end here, since we're talking about videos. We've talked a lot about students creating videos or using videos as kind of like the inspiration for talking about class content. I wanted to go a different direction and show you some classroom videos that you can use. And these are from a couple of places that you might not think of. So there's this one. This is this really cool site called the Achievery. I don't know if you've ever heard of this before, but you can go to ditch.link/Achievery to sign up for a free account. The Achievery, it's this this site that was created kind of in collaboration with ASCD and AT&T and even like Warner Brothers and some other places. Basically, they've gotten permission to use clips from movies and clips from TV shows and clips from all of these different places. And then they've written lesson plans with them. And it's all free. So for instance, I know there is a lesson plan that has clips from the Lego Batman movie, and it's all connected to a whole bunch of lesson plans that you can use with your students. So they're pre-written lesson plans and videos that you have permission to use, which is kind of cool. So anyway, if you haven't checked that out before, ditch.link/Achievery will get you there, where you can create a free account and go check out all the things that they have. And then I wanted to share this with you. This is actually something that we created, like me and my team at Ditch That Textbook. We made this website called TeachFlix, which you can go to at teachflix.org. It's all of these instructional videos, just videos that we've found on YouTube, but they're all teacher suggested videos. So we asked lots of people, what are your favorite instructional videos? And they just shared a whole bunch of them with us. And we just organized and gathered them onto this website called TeachFlix. So you can go to teachflix.org to find the videos, but you can also find activities that you can do with the videos too. And so that's all free, and you can go check that out if you want to. So I think that wraps it up. We're pretty close to the end here. Remember, ditch.link/YouTuber will get you to my slides. And then, as I was mentioning before, this is a chapter out of my book, Tech Like a Pirate. And so if you want some more stuff about video or even some more stuff about that book, you can go to techlikeapirate.com to get any of that stuff. All right. Jose, you got anything for me?
Nothing in the chat. If anyone has any questions for Mr. Miller, please go ahead and put them in the chat, and I can go ahead and read those for you. Everyone seemed very excited. A lot of people were placing a lot of ideas regarding the unboxing videos in the chat.
Good.
A lot of people were a big fan of the graphic organizer as well.
Yes.
So yeah, hopefully if anyone has any questions, please, you could do so right now. I think we got about a minute before the session ends.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
people just love the ideas.
Yeah, that's one of the things I always love, is seeing how people would do like the unboxing video or the top 10 video or whatever. So if you all were sharing some of those ideas in the chat, then then you're doing it right. That's the way to do it. That's awesome. So I'm super happy to hear about that.
Yes, awesome. So I went ahead and placed the updated link for the Lunch and Learn. So that'll be at 12. For everyone else that is in here, please go ahead and fill out that end of the session evaluation.
Mhm.
and we are good. Thank you very much, Mr. Miller.
Awesome. Appreciate it. All right. We'll see you guys at the Lunch and Learn. All right. Thanks.